Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Keegan, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to episode 3 of Pod of the Rising Sun. So, another day, another week, I should say, another Suns loss. Now, the Suns lost against Adelaide the previous week. I wasn't too bothered about, but this past week against the Lions really did hurt. It hurt for an absolutely number of reasons. One was we were in at halftime. We were in the game at halftime. We were only a goal down, and then we ended up getting absolutely belted by the Lions. The Suns were 9-8-62 to the Lions 16-15, 111. So the past couple, before the Adelaide game, I would have said in the first 4 rounds, our defence was super duper tight. And now it's just starting to seem that, I don't know what's happening. Some of the players are weary, some of the players are tired, and we seem to be starting to struggle a little bit on that, trying to keep up with teams who are, I don't want to say maybe stronger, but that's an indictment because the Lions aren't that much older than us. Look, they're probably further along in their development, which is great for them. It's always good, and I'm just going to get this out of the way now. It's good to see Queensland football doing well, but it's still, there's an air of jealousy, an air of envy, if you will, when the Lions are doing well and we aren't. So, especially because they've got our second round pick this year. We've got their first round pick. So, selfishly, for me and the Suns at least, I hope the Lions finish as low as possible because that would mean that our draft pick is better. But who knows? At the moment, they're sitting 7th on the ladder, so you can't. So they're looking pretty good, and that's all you can say about the Lions, really. One last thing I will say about Lions before I get onto the Suns, because this is a Gold Coast Suns podcast, is Lachie Neale is an absolute monster. There's no doubt about it. He is an absolute freak. He the way he just extracts the ball, the way he hits his targets. He's such a good user, and he gets so much of the pill that you can't but stand and admire him. Like Eddie Betts the previous week with Adelaide, how he's just an amazing small forward that you can't. I was disappointed he did that against the Suns, but you can't help but admire Neale and hope for him anyway, as long as it's not against the Suns, because we will play the Lions later again in the year. Hopefully not against the Suns. You wish him all the best because he's an absolute gun, and it's good to see good gun players coming to Queensland, and hopefully that means the Suns in maybe the next year or two can bring in a gun to the similar level of Neale. We'll have to wait and see. Anyway, as was said, this is a Suns podcast, so we should probably focus on the Suns. They were pretty flat. It was not much more to say, really. They were a pretty flat outfit. The first half was really good. It was really tight. We kept it in nice and tight, which is exactly what we wanted to do. But then we just let it get out, and we just let them get too loose, too wide of the contest, and that they absolutely ran roughshod over us. Looking at our players that sort of played well, I might as well give the 3-2-1 now while I'm sitting here. I would have given 3 votes to Fiorini because he just continues to absolutely have his own pill. 21 kicks, 10 handballs, 31 touches, 6 marks, 8 tackles. This guy's an absolute monster. He's having such a good year. He probably won't get the plaudits he deserves. He's only 21, and he's racking up 31 touches. There's not much more you can say. 2 votes I would have given to Ben Ainsworth. He ended up only getting 21 touches, but that was his best game for us. He just looked absolutely damaging out of the midfield. He looked really, really good. And that's his best game. That was probably his best game for us. He didn't kick a goal, but when he had the ball in his hand, he looked like he was going to do something with it, and he could hit a target, which was great to see. And 1 vote I'm going to give to Corbett because it was his first game for us. He's a mature age rookie. He's about 21, I think. So he only touched the ball 6 times. But he kicked 2 goals. He competed hard all day, and that's more of a. It's probably not like the 1 vote's always tricky because you could give it to a few different people. But I decided to give it to Corbett because I thought he competed well in his first game for us, and he gave us a genuine target up forward. Other sort of players have mentioned Wright kicked another 2 goals to go with his 3 kicks against Adelaide, so he's starting to finally kick a few goals for us, which is great. Sexton kicked another 2 to keep going his good season. He needs to probably start kicking a few more. 2 goals too. He's very inaccurate. If he kicked more than he missed, he would be up there in the Coleman this year. But at the moment, he's sort of getting a few looks at it. But yeah, the one sort of worrying thing that I pulled out of the game, and I think Stewie Jew said something similar, was the lack of tackles that the team had. So we had Fiorini had 8 tackles, Martin had 7 tackles, Witts had 6 tackles, McPherson had 5 tackles, and Miller had 5 tackles. So they were our top 5 tacklers in the team. So they were pretty good. They're pretty good numbers, especially for Fiorini. That's good to know. McPherson's a tackling machine. He keeps going and going and going. But it's the other end. So I'm going to read you through these people. So Sexton didn't have a tackle. Wright didn't have a tackle. Homsch didn't have a tackle. Ballard didn't have a tackle. Corbett didn't have a tackle. Corbett and Wright, they're tall forwards, so you can't expect they should be tackling, but that's not their job. Their job they're not in the team to tackle. But the likes of Sexton, the likes of Ballard, the likes of Homsch, Ballard and Homsch defenders, Sexton's a small forward, they need to actually be laying tackles. So for them not to be laying tackles is very, very worrying. Ainsworth only laid 1 tackle. Harbrow laid only 1 tackle. Hamley laid only 1 tackle. Collins laid only 1 tackle. Murdoch only laid 1 tackle. And Bowes only laid 2 tackles. So, worrying. So you hope that speaks to effort. That speaks to effort, not only laying 1 or 0 tackles. So, while I've been happy with the first 5 weeks of the effort that we put in, which has got us 3 wins and 2 losses there. This week there seemed to be a bit of a lack of effort to get and tackle someone. So that's the sort of first poor game I can say. Like the Adelaide game, yeah, it was disappointing, but I think Adelaide are a really good team. I don't think Brisbane are 50 points better than us. And we just show with our lack of effort in the second half that we couldn't stick with them, and then they ran away from us. It might be to do with the bit of class that they have through the middle with the guys of like Lockie Neal and McCluggage. But yeah, that was sort of the first instance of some of these blokes aren't having a dig. So after the Adelaide game, Stewie Jew said, all right, he basically backed the team in from the Adelaide game to redo a performance. So then he made 1 change, which was Burgess out for Corbett. This week, though, there will be a few more changes, I reckon. I'm filming this for information. I'm filming this Wednesday at 9 o'clock in the evening. So obviously the teams haven't been selected for the next round. But I'm expecting a few changes. I'm thinking someone like a Sam Day might come in as another tall forward option to help out with Wright and Corbett. Young's another one. He had nearly 40 touches in the 2, so he probably gets a run. And there's probably a couple of others that I'm missing, but they're sort of the 2 that I reckon could come in this week. Sam Day's a big, solid body, as is Young, and we're going over to Western Australia, so that's sort of something that's definitely required. We don't want to take too many young kids over there to get bullied around by very solid, big Eagles outfits. So, as far as people who I would take out of the team, I've been saying it for a few weeks. Lukosius only had 6 touches. He had 4 tackles, which was good, and he did kick a goal, but he could probably stand to have a week off. He's a young kid. Take him all the way over to Perth to rough it up with some of the bigger West Coast defenders. I'm not too disappointed if we were to take Lukosius out and put Day in just as a bigger body, someone that can sort of hold up to the riggers. And if Day can kick 2 goals, then he's done his job for the day. He's competed, brought the ball to ground for the likes of Sexton and McPherson in the forward line. So that would probably be one person I'd probably take out. Not because of form. He's only played 6 games to this point, so you don't want to be taking him out, dropping him. It will be rested. He's going to take up rest. Whether that means he plays a half in the NEAFL and just sort of takes it easy, or he plays a full game in the NEAFL, who knows. As far as players that could come in as well, Young, I mentioned Day. Another one is Powell, who after 2 weeks off with concussion is back this week, and I'd be looking at someone like a Hall and Smith, who's in the team as a wise, strong body, doing all that stuff, but he just hasn't been good enough. Like there was one instance that he had a 2 meter handball, or he had a 4 meter handball, and he missed his player by 2 meters, and that is just not acceptable from a senior player. You don't bring your senior players in to do that sort of stuff, to miss easy targets like that. So he would be someone that I would look at. Joyce would be another one that he's lucky that probably isn't anyone that plays that shutdown defender role, shutdown small defender role, because he was absolutely diabolical. There was a few kicks and there was a few times he tried to take on the man, got done holding the ball, turned the ball over straight away, which was absolutely brutal. So, yeah, so there's a few people that I'd probably throw up about changing. Good news for us as well. Weller's only a week away, which is good. I would be pretty sure Weller comes straight back in. He's only missed 3 weeks, so he can probably come straight back in without having to play Neefel. Rankin's also only a week away, so he probably plays Neefel next week. What I would personally do is I'd play him for a half, get him to blow a few of the cobwebs out, have a run around, get a touch, get a feel of the ball, and then put him in cotton wool and bring him into the ones the week after, because he's someone with absolute class that we're going to be playing in our forward line, and a few more pressure on some of those small forwards that we do have that don't really have that competition at the moment. So there's things on the horizon. Lemons is also another one. He's back from an ankle problem. We'll probably play Neefel this week, and probably play Neefel for a few weeks, because he hasn't really played since the start of the season. So there's a few changes I would look to make heading into the West Coast game. Now, as far as West Coast goes, they've actually had a pretty rough run of form. They've past 2 weeks, they've had bad losses. They got towed up by Port the week before. Last week they got towed up by Geelong by nearly 60 points. So they're going to be hurting, and they're probably going to want to do a number on us. Now, we have a pretty poor record against West Coast. We have got a draw against them. I can't remember off the top of my head if we've beaten them before, but I definitely remember the draw where Tom Lynch kicked a goal with a minute to go, and he thought they were only 5 points behind, and he thought we'd won, but we were actually 6 points behind, so he drew the game. So that has happened in the past, but going over to West Australia in a bit of rough form, which is kind of not great. We've hit a wall as a young team, to be expected. It was good to see those early wins, because early wins were key to getting a few wins this season when people said we wouldn't win a game. But this one I think is going to be a rough game. I think West Coast will win. I'd love to think that we can pull out a rabbit out of the hat and get a win. That would be amazing. But I can't see us beating West Coast in WA. What I do hope is not to get blown away, not to lose by 60 points again, or close to 60 points. We got done by 49 by Brisbane. We got done by nearly 70 by Adelaide. We need to keep this down. If we were to keep the margin below 30 points against West Coast in Perth after they've had a rough couple of weeks, I will take that with both hands. Get some runs to the kids. Get some young players getting through. I want to see the likes of Brody, the likes of Bose, to get a bit of a touch, get a bit of a feel for playing against quality opposition. They won the premiership last year. They're absolutely quality. So I want them to get that sort of touch and feel. So that's my thoughts. I think West Coast win. If I was to give a realistic tip, I reckon West Coast win by 37 points. They're not going too well. They might just try and get a win, and hopefully for our sake, they try to get the win. If they win, we might pull a rabbit out of the hat. We might still win, but if they were to get a win, hopefully we keep the margin as low as possible. I reckon West Coast win by 36. Is my realistic tip. But though saying that, I'd love the Suns to get a win to go 4-3, especially heading into Melbourne next week, and we'll talk about that next week. But I think Melbourne are definitely gettable, especially up on the Gold Coast. They're not playing very well at the moment, so that's definitely something to look forward to. A winnable game next week for the Suns. Anyway, guys, thank you for listening to me ramble on about the Suns in this pod of the Rising Sun, episode 3. I hope you've enjoyed. The Suns chat. Do let me know in the comments below what changes you would make this week heading into the West Coast game. Would you, maybe other players you might drop? I think Murdoch's another one that didn't really perform, so maybe he might be someone else that you might look to drop as well. Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you do like this video, subscribe so you don't miss any of the videos on this channel. Tomorrow I will be starting my Super Coach series albeit 6 rounds too late, but I'll definitely be starting it tomorrow. I put some time aside. I've made my changes. I'm not going so well this year, so I'll talk you through it when we get to tomorrow. So anyway, guys, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you later.